Yeah. This guy's new.
All right. This is kind of more of a comment. It seems to me like a lot of objections to anarcho-capitalism stem from the idea that it's almost a socialist society, but it's not.
At all.
The thing is, poor people will just die off. They won't buy food. So they will die. Yeah. They will die until the market regulates themselves and people are alive and can support themselves and support each other. So it sucks, but I mean, it's not the way it happens. It happens already.
In fact, does anyone actually know, like, he brings up a very good point, that that's actually where the supply, not this one, supply and demand curve comes from. It means that this many people are willing to pay this high a price. It means this many people are willing to pay, like, cumulatively, this many people will pay this high a price, and this many sellers will accept this price, this price, this price, this price, cumulatively. Well, I think I got that backwards. I think it's sellers here, buyers here. And where it benefits the most people is where it meets. And that's what decides prices. So here's your poor, but they'll eventually rise to here. Like, that's what prices do. They equalize. Like when Katrina happened, and Walmart decided to start charging $20 for milk. Everyone was like, these price gougers, these assholes, how dare they charge $20 in milk? Don't they realize people need milk? But the rise in prices, what it did was to regulate the market. Because if milk is $2, you can just snag up all the milks, and other people won't be able to get those milks. But if the price is $20, you'll accurately gauge how much you need that milk compared to other people. So instead of grabbing 5 cartons of milk, you'll grab 1 carton of milk and leave 4 more for other people. So instead of these price gougers being bad people, what they've done is instead of providing for 1 person, they provide for 5 people. And that's how the anarchist society works. The market works.
Part of the problem is that a lot of stuff is really expensive now due to all the taxes we build into this production and distribution system that's based on government coercion. So if you really want to address the issue of poverty, you need to address the issue of taxation and its role in determining prices.
Exactly. And
milk in particular is produced in smaller quantities because of federal regulations.
and my friend Zach and I, we actually have this funny argument when we first realized what they paid farmers to do with their crops, namely burn them, so that prices can stay at a certain price to help, whatever. We just got furious. You're paying them to do what? So yeah, exactly, government often causes a lot of the problems it's supposed to solve.
And a lot of, I think, the arguments against anarcho-capitalism stem from sort of this idealism, and I'm an idealist at heart, so I would be the first one to support that. However, I think we have this idea, and even socialism at its core, I think, has this idea that there's such thing as utopia, and that we can actually get there, right? And so, it seems to me, even from a Leninist perspective, if you look at socialism or even our American democratic system as it exists, it's very much like a higher class of people basically shitting on a lower class of people and saying, I'm smarter than you, I know what you need, and I know how we're going to get to utopia, essentially. And I'm not for evolving in the sense that poverty, people that are poor just die off, It would be nice if it was there was such thing as utopia and that we could everybody have the same standard of living. But kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, which is that the good people or the people who would be successful aren't necessarily good people. They could be evil, but they would be the people that are doing the most good for society, right? And so I think that at the cost of maybe poor people, a certain amount of poor people die, but the system we have now where we're trying to artificially keep the poor people alive is absolutely the most it's destroying them, essentially. And so I would argue that for the greater good, it's better to have a more free market society rather than artificially keeping these people above water.
Yeah, and going along with what you said, I don't know why we now decided to kill off the poor in anarchy. If you're a fat capitalist pig, it makes sense that you're just going to work those people. You're like, hey, you're not making any money right now. I'll give you 5 cents to come mow my lawn. lawn, yard, land use. If they'd rather die than take my nickel or whatever I decide to offer them, they'll take my nickel and I'll help them.
Coercive.
That's not coercive, that's persuasive. I'm saying, hey, here's $1.
I don't think you've adequately framed the distinction.
Basically,
I'm
I'm
to die.
no, because I'm not putting
my lawn.
Yeah, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying I will kill you. I'm saying, hey, here's $1.
I know, you're not going to kill them. You're
Well, then it's not
going to
coercion.
maintain the system that allows them to be poor.
Actually, the system's pointing a gun at my head.
Anyway, I know, yeah, this system, we're talking about this system.
Right, so the distinction is, do we substitute a system wherein, for example, dairy, right?
What?
Every dairy farmer in
Not
America
dairy.
is part of a big company. They get paid a certain fixed price to produce milk. The government disposes of the milk that it doesn't want. And this spills over into other areas. Like when there's too many dairy cows, they buy them up and dump them on the beef market. They do that about every 10 or 20 years. Boom, whole bunch of beef producers out of business. Sucks.
Yeah, I'm not arguing for the goodness of government, mind you, or state. I'm arguing for the inevitability of government. It will happen.
But
Is
even,
there anything historical in it? Just curious.
let's say we've somehow gotten out of the state, and like big old A-bomb. A stands for anarchy, and we have anarchy everywhere. Even if a state forms, then anarcho-capitalism doesn't
You
work.
can either
But
live there or not.
what?
If a state forms, you can decide to live there or not.
Until they attack you.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, even if that state forms, then I guess anarchy's, like anarcho-capitalism, it turns out is inevitable, but we haven't tried it yet. What's wrong with trying freedom and seeing if it doesn't work? We've given communism like 1,200 tries. Let's just give free market.
Communism has the same ideals, liberating the lower. And, I mean, I can't
Those
see-
were doomed to fail in their infancy.
And they had the exact same methods of trying to attain said goal.
Yeah, but it's not the same goal. Like, I may think running and trying to jump is a good way of getting over the mountain. That's my goal. I'm trying to get over a mountain. Or I may drive a car up there. Or I may pogo stick up there. Or I may fly a plane. There are different ways to get there. And even if they're the same goal. And in the third lecture, I'll say that anarcho-capitalism has the best way to get there.
Well and good, but I just don't see what method you could use that doesn't involve violent reprisal.
No. I did not say that violence is exclusively banned. I personally am a pretty big pacifist, and I personally wouldn't fight anyone else. But in a libertarian or anarcho-libertarian society, you could fight back an aggressor or someone you think is going to fight you. If someone's pointing a gun at your head, even if they're not actually, like, forcing you to do something or hurting you in any way, you have the right to punch them in the face. Like, stop it. So if I see a state forming, that is, I see someone starting to coerce other people, I have the right to say, stop it, and punch them in the face.
Unless they hit you harder and then you can't move.
Well, then that's, well, yeah, if someone is bigger and stronger than me, and it turns out I can do nothing about it, then what do you want me to do?
That's my point, it's an inevitability. It's
No,
not-
you're assuming that there's some super strong person, and that super strong person is evil. But I'm saying, what if if we've got 30 not so strong people, and they've got guns, and they've got knives, and they've got billy clubs, and they've got bats, and they've got hate in their hearts, there's no big, dumb jock gorilla from Sigma Eppa Pi that's going to be able to take us over. You have to rely on your fellow man to defend your rights.
Then you do take over. And then the same thing happens again.
No, he doesn't get to take over.
Than the other revolutionaries. And recapitulates the system.
You have to rely that your fellow man can help you. If he can't, then there's nothing that can be done. And anarcho-capitalism, democracy, socialism, they're all bound to fail.
Well, yeah.
Well then,
You're relying on.
well then there's nothing I can say. Vaughn, I'm sorry, he's just a newbie.
So just for clarification purposes, you mentioned a flexible nature to anarcho-capitalism. Does that include application of the free market to various problems, essentially?
What do you mean? There's only a free market.
I'm just saying, do you just say free market to everything, or do you just have degrees of free market along the way until everything's okay?
Oh, you're saying how do I get there?
No. I'm not saying how do you get there. What I'm saying is, how do you know that the free market applied to everything is the best solution, and that